You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and something on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you to the Let's Play episode of Sylving. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. That might be a problem. I don't like the sound of that. The gates, that is to say the cave, will not let us pass through them without a relic. A relic? I was wearing a red cloak when we first met. Do you remember it? Don't tell me you've lost it. No, not quite. I have it on me, actually, but... He reaches into his satchel and pulls out the wine-red cloak that he was wearing back at my cave. When I was running away, a piece got torn off. I'm afraid that without it, the cloak is incomplete and won't work. I recognized the missing shape immediately. I dug around in my pocket, withdrawing the scrap I'd pulled from the bush. You mean this? Mikkel's eyes light up, and he snatches it from my hands in a flash. This is it! You found it! Thank the gods! With this, we just need to have it mended. He's smiling and wagging his tail. The fox is practically hopping from foot to foot, unable to stay still. If I go home now, my nanny can reattach it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't recommend that. If she realizes it's a relic, she might tell your father, and he'd put you under house arrest for the rest of your life. No need to fret. She's mended just about everything I've worn since I was a kid. Even costumes. This will be no different to her. We should be able to get you back in no time. Today, even. The fox is about to leave, but suddenly turns around. Oh, I almost forgot. My apologies for taking it from you. I only meant to have a look. If I had my wits about me, I'd have simply dropped it as I ran. I didn't even realize I was still holding it until I made it home. He reaches his hand into his satchel, digging around in it before pulling out something familiar. My phone! He hands it to me, turning it over. It's seemingly undamaged aside from a few scratches on the screen. Hope it still works. I must excuse myself for now. I'll be back as soon as I can, and perhaps by then you'll be amenable to answering a few questions. I give it a dry laugh. I won't be here for much longer, so I might as well hear them. You know what? Sure. Mikkel beams with a bright smile, turning out the door and practically leaping through it. Are the pillows not doing anything? Pillows. You're there for my feet. Shield my feet. Okay. Mikkel beams the... Okay, I already did that. Alright. Ha. He sure is, a lot. Forgive him. Lord Mikkel is nothing if not full of lust for knowledge. He's not a bad person, but his lordship's curiosity can get the better of him. Now that that's taken care of, I have to go fetch something. I'll be back soon. Wait. Could I have something to eat? I'm really hungry. Right, you must be starved, and there isn't really anything to eat or cook here. Alright, I know someone who's always ready with a meal. How do you feel about stew? It's a hearty meal and vegetable soup, and the one he makes is the best. Stew sounds great. Good, I'll be back soon. Ugh. With a nod, Agnarr steps out of the door. I found the fox. Oh, new main... Okay. Well, he found me. Got my phone back, and if what he says about the cloak is true, I'll be back home tonight. Looking around, I realized very quickly that I have nothing to pass time with. Probably should get myself cleaned up. It's been days, and I've neither changed clothes nor washed myself. Oh, goodness. Oh, bless me. I fetched the water bowl, clothes, and soap from the other room and placed them on the dinner table. Then I proceed to dress down. Soaking the cloth in a soapy water, I start with an arm first to test how to clean myself with all this fur. This is gonna go back to normal, right? I'll just step through to my side and shut it all off? Why wouldn't it work both ways? And even if I pass out again, I'll have my phone on me. I could just call for help when I come to. Soapy fur feels really weird, but I do my best to scrub myself down, determined to get rid of 2 days' worth of odor. Wow, rinsing out the fur is harder than I thought it would be. Next, I use the unused half of the cloth to dry myself with. After a short while, I give up halfway, the makeshift towel having given its all. Cleaning was one thing, but drying is even harder. The moist fur feels rather uncomfortable, but at least the odor's weaker. Finally feeling refreshed, I put my clothes back on. They still smell, but it's not like I have anything else to wear. The claws rip through my t-shirt as I pull it down, leaving little holes around the chest. Great, just what I needed. Letting out a weak grunt, I try to stay positive and move on. I I stepped to the window and looked through the shutters, wondering if the big wolf's nearby. The openings are so narrow and the glass uneven that everyone outside looks more like vague blobs than anything else. Just then Agnarr comes back in, holding a cloth-covered pot with one arm and a big burlap sack draped over the other. Oh, hi, welcome back. What are you doing? Just trying to spot you on your way back. Not much else to do while waiting. You made it look a lot easier by coming in, though. Agnarr shows a subtle smirk, putting the pot onto the table and sack onto the floor. He digs through the cabinets underneath the window, retrieving bowls and spoons before setting the table. I pull up a chair and sit down. Agnarr readies a ladle before pulling the cloth off the pot. The smell of meat and vegetables hits my nose, and my mouth immediately begins to water. I hope that is to your liking. He finished making this just before I arrived, so it's still hot. If it tastes half as good as it smells, then I already know I'm going to want seconds. Agnarr ladles out a large portion for me. The stew looks even more enticing as he sets it in front of me. He then takes a seat on the bench across from me, looking content. The stew is just how I expected, with meat and veggies floating in thick brown broth. The only surprise was little chunks of blue mushroom. It's hard to beat a good hearty stew. I had plenty of those when I was in Cali. I get a spoonful with each of the different kinds of chunks in it, carefully balancing it as I find my mouth. Carfuling, okay. When the taste hits my tongue, I'm impressed by the zesty flavor. I can taste meat and something like garlic, and the rich broth is enhanced by the perfect touch of salt. The meal is savory, and I can already feel it warming my bones. I can even taste something close to pepper in the seasonings, but it's mellower than I'm used to. Even the odd blue mushrooms are quite nice, having an earthy sweetness to it. Taking another spoonful, I can feel myself coming back to life from the incredible taste. I don't think I've ever had stew this good before. I'm so hungry that anything would be great. That anything would taste great at this point. But the stew is undoubtedly amazing. By the third bite, though, I can feel something trickling down my chin. The broth drips to the table. I was so entranced by the taste that I didn't notice that it's been leaking out from the sides of my muzzle. I try to wipe it off with my hands, but it just ends up smearing all over my hands as well. I feel my face turning red with embarrassment. I can't even eat food without looking like a 2-year-old. Here, use this. He hands me the rag that was used to cover the pot. I dry off my hands and chin first before cleaning the table with it. Don't worry about the mess. It can happen at times. I finish cleaning off the table and look back up at him, still feeling pretty self-conscious. I take it that you like the dish, seeing how much you enjoyed it. Yeah, it's really good. You were right, Agnarr. I've never had stew as good as this before. Heh, told you, it's the best in the land. I hear a loud growling sound coming from Agnarr. At first, I thought it was his voice making that sound, but it came from his stomach. That's when I realized that his bowl is completely empty. Aren't you going to have some more? I'll eat when you've had your fill. Aren't you going to have some? I'll eat when you've had your fill. Don't worry about me. I feel bad for not waiting for him. I'm glad to get some food in me, but not if I'm the only one eating. It would be nice to eat the stew with you, rather than taking turns. Besides, there's no way I can eat all this. I'd really prefer it if you had some yourself. I told you, I'll wait. The wolf grimaces, looking clearly embarrassed as the groaning protest comes back even stronger. No matter what he said, what he's about to say, he can't argue with his own body. I look at him with a grin, seeing how troubled he looks, and point my wooden spoon at his belly. You'd better listen to us and eat before it gets any louder. Thank you for your kindness. Agnarr ladles a generous portion into his own bowl and dives in. I hold my bowl close to my mouth and finish out the remaining chunks to eat. The broth is delicious, but I don't want a repeat of it dripping out of my mouth. Usually I wouldn't be this reserved, but I'm not used to eating with this alien face yet. Still, I managed to not spill any more of the stew, and so that's a win, and now all that's left is to enjoy the meal. Thank you for letting me eat with you. It's an honor to share a meal with a higher being like yourself. Huh? I cover my mouth, nearly spitting out my stew. I swallow hard and give a small cough to keep myself from laughing. Higher being? Me? You're a Sylving, said to be one of the most mysterious beings and with great powers, who helped our kind when we needed it most centuries ago. Lord Mikkel has told me about the many magical tools he'd seen in your world during his expeditions, like the metal carriages that travel at great speed along the black roads, or the black mirrors your kind carry around. He told me you touch and talk through them, and that they convey special meanings through strange sounds. Those are cars and phones. They're pretty common in my world. And I'm not a Sylving. I'm a human. What's a human? Well, what's a Sylving? Do you know what they look like? Sylvings are shown in old illustrations and described as having little to no hair aside from their head. They also have a flat muzzle and small, round ears on the side of their heads. Lord Mikhail has described it as such as well when going beyond the gate, so there's no doubt that's how they look like. That's what they look like. That's what humans look like. I see. Perhaps we simply have a different word for your kind. Maybe. It's a funny word, though. So, does your kind bless items with your magic to make them work? No, that's just technology. They're made by many people who simply improved upon what we had over time. They're really advanced, sure, but there wasn't any magic involved in making them. And how do you make these creations if not by magic? With wires, circuit boards, programming, plastic, and electricity. It's made of many different things put together depending on the machine. Agnarr has a perplexed look on his face. Not that I blame him. I'm not sure how to explain this to someone from a place without electronics. The point is that I'm not a higher being. I'm just some normal guy with no powers, like anyone else where I'm from. But how did your kind come to our world and grant us great powers back then? Do you know how to remove them? 3 days ago, I didn't even know your world existed, much less anything to do with great powers. I'm sorry, but this is all new to me. I apologize for jumping to conclusions. We still have much to learn about your world, and it was difficult for me to believe that this technology was made without some sort of great power. But if that's the case, then... Wolf ladles himself another bowl, his eyes looking a little distant as he eats, like he's lost in thought. A few minutes go by, and the silence between us goes on for some time. Since I'm heading home soon, I can't think there would be any harm in striking up a more casual conversation. Hey, Agnarr? You're not carrying that big sword you had on yesterday. It's kind of hard to miss. That's my broadsword. I only wear it when I leave the village. So you're a warrior of some sort? Mercenary, to be specific. I normally take many different jobs, everything from guarding caravans to hired muscle. Well, you've sure got plenty of muscle to hire. Do you get a lot of work then? I usually get enough. It's important to be versatile and capable. There's a notice board where people put up requests in exchange for money. That's where I usually earn my coin. You wouldn't believe some of the jobs I've gotten roped into. Oh, like what? You'd probably find them rather dull. Lord Mikhail has told me many things about your world. My stories must dwarf in comparison. Okay. Listen to his stories. Too late. Now you've got me curious. Who knows how long it'll take Mikhail to get back. Hearing some stories might make a good conversation. Make a good distraction. Alright, if you insist. I can tell you a story or two. He recounts a few of his adventures, how he would meet different races from far away, wearing different outfits and transporting all sorts of strange products in their wagon. One time he was hired to help move barrels in a wine cellar along with 2 others. One of them went missing halfway into the job and they couldn't find him. It turned out that he had snuck into one of the barrels in the deepest part of the cellar to take a sip without anyone noticing. He was found in a half-drained barrel, drunk as one could be and with no intention of leaving his bathtub of wine. The guy didn't get paid, of course. While he still gets work, most are wise enough to not let him near any alcohol. It's become something of an in-joke with the other mercenaries. Agnarr then tells me about the time he was hired to hunt a couple of animals called speaks for the butcher, as he was running low on meat at the time. When he returned to the butcher, he was carrying an entire ook on his back instead, as he had lucked it across it in the woods. I'm guessing speaks and ooks are this world's equivalent of hogs and moose. Ooks are rarely seen this close to a settlement, as they prefer staying higher up in the mountains, which is why they're highly valued by nobles for their meat and fur. Agnarr still had to go back for the speaks, but the butcher was so happy about the ook that he gifted a big chunk of its meat to Agnarr. But not all employers are easy to please, as he was once hired to train a young man in swordplay in just 2 scant weeks. Actually, I'm going to pause it right there, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout-out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all if I do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Kate Silver, and thank you going above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Tresem Guy. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to Ultimate Tier. Anyway, if y'all want to get your names in the credits and get access to all of our not safe for work contents as little as $5, alrighty? I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!